Number 7. Michael and Vicki Roberts. In December of 2009, 25-year-old Vicki Roberts was found strangled at her and her husband's residence in Runcorn, Cheshire, England. Her body had reportedly been bound with duct tape and hidden under a duvet in the garage. When the police became aware of the situation, Vicki's husband, Michael, went on the run. He proceeded to send his wife's friends and family fake text messages from her phone in which he indicated that she'd left him for another man. Despite his efforts to flee from justice, Michael was eventually tracked down and arrested in connection to Vicki's death, which he claimed to have been an accident, precipitated by an intimate game involving a dressing gown cord. Investigators rejected this version of the events, however, and instead offered the explanation that Vicki had discovered an extramarital affair Michael had been having with 2 of his colleagues at the mobile phone retail store where he worked as the assistant manager. It was reported that the man had been cheating on Vicki throughout their engagement, as well as in the days immediately following their wedding. The police contended that Michael resorted to killing his wife in lieu of ending his involvement with his pair of mistresses. Following Michael's 3-week trial at Liverpool Crown Court, he was convicted of murder and consequently jailed for life, with a mandated minimum term of 17 years. Number 6. Bobby and Jerry Holloway. On the evening of June the 10th of 2016, a woman from Blountesville, Alabama, dialed 911 to report that she'd shot her husband. Law enforcement were dispatched to the scene where they found 57-year-old Jerry Holloway suffering from gunshot wounds to the face and chest. He was immediately pronounced dead, and his wife, Bobby, was taken in for questioning. The 60-year-old woman reportedly told investigators that her husband had been verbally abusive during the course of their 35-year marriage and had recently become angry with her, whom he suspected of having an affair with an employee at a local bank. The Holloways had gone to the financial institution in search of a $150,000 loan, which they intended to use to upgrade their chicken houses. While they never closed on the loan, Bobby, her son Chris, and her alleged lover, Danny Goebel, subsequently began plotting how to get Jerry out of the family business, initially by way of divorce. The trio even reportedly discussed the idea of giving Jerry $250,000 to simply leave, but ultimately decided on killing the man who had a $200,000 life insurance policy. Bobby shot her husband twice with a revolver, but was taken into custody before the subsequent stages of her murder plot could come to fruition. The woman, a retired Blount County school teacher, was found guilty of murder in early 2020 and consequently faced a minimum 20-year prison sentence. Number 5. Beau and Jennifer Rothwell. Missouri woman Jennifer Rothwell got into a heated argument with her husband Beau about his alleged infidelity on November the 11th of 2019. The 28-year-old woman, who was pregnant at the time, tried to get Beau to reveal the identity of his lover, but he refused. The man later testified that Jennifer proceeded to taunt him that the baby she was carrying wasn't his, and the confrontation then escalated to violence. After entering into what Beau himself labeled a red haze of anger, he struck his wife of 4 years over the head with a mallet, then hit her again as she stumbled towards the garage door, killing her. He subsequently dumped Jennifer's lifeless body in a wooded area located about an hour from their Creve Coeur residence. To cover up the murder, Beau used cleaning supplies to scrub the crime scene and discarded evidence in a dumpster near the highway. In the aftermath, the man reported his wife missing to the authorities, who ultimately identified him as a suspect after finding blood-soaked carpeting during a search of the Rothwell home. It subsequently emerged that prior to her death, Jennifer had conducted a Google search for what to do if your husband is upset you are pregnant. It was also revealed that Beau had created a pros and cons list for ending his marriage to Jennifer only months before he murdered her. In April of 2022, the man was convicted of first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and abandonment of a corpse. He was subsequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 4. Elizabeth Hart-Brown and Stephen Raynor. Jewelry designer Elizabeth Hart-Brown and her boyfriend, Stephen Raynor, got into a contentious row upon returning to their shared West London flat after a party on the night of September the 17th of 2016. Court documents indicated that the fight was fueled not only by the copious amounts of alcohol they'd consumed during the course of the evening, but also by an ongoing dispute about Raynor's abusive tendencies and infidelity. As the argument escalated, it culminated with Hart-Brown fatally stabbing Raynor 3 times with a kitchen knife, while her children slept in bedrooms only feet away. Months prior to the deadly altercation, 27-year-old Hart-Brown had sent her boyfriend a WhatsApp message in which she accused him of being verbally disparaging as well as hitting and humiliating her on a regular basis. The woman cited Raynor's purported abuse as the reason for the deterioration of their relationship and also claimed to have stabbed him in self-defense on the night of their fateful row. However, prosecutors offered a different perspective on the couple's volatile relationship, identifying Hart-Brown as the primary antagonist who stimulated their arguments with her paranoia and jealous allegations of infidelity. During the course of the 6-week murder trial, the woman detailed how she'd feared for her life after Raynor had bitten her face and waterboarded her in a bathtub. Following 15 hours of deliberation by an Old Bailey jury, Hart-Brown was ultimately acquitted of murder and allowed to walk free. Number 3. Galen Morris and Andre Smith. Just after midnight on June the 3rd of 2022, Indiana police were called to the parking lot of an Indianapolis pub called Tilly's. Officers came upon 26-year-old Andre Smith lying on the ground underneath a vehicle. A statement issued by the city's Metropolitan Police Department indicated that it appeared as though the man had been run over by the car, which reportedly belonged to his girlfriend, Galen Morris, also 26 at the time. Emergency responders rushed to the scene to render aid to Smith, who was ultimately pronounced dead. A short time later, his official cause of death was ruled as traumatic asphyxia. Investigators subsequently spoke with several witnesses, one of whom detailed how Morris had allegedly tracked the victim down that night using an Apple AirTag. After seeing Smith with another woman, Morris flew into a rage and attacked her boyfriend's female companion with an empty wine bottle. Smith intervened before the bottle made contact with the other woman, and the 3 of them were subsequently asked to leave the bar. It was at that point that Morris got into her vehicle and clipped her boyfriend before allegedly backing over him. She then pulled forward and struck him for a 3rd time, inflicting his mortal wounds in the process. Following the vehicular assault, Morris got out and pursued the other woman on foot, but was intercepted by the responding officers, who placed her under arrest. The woman was formally charged with her boyfriend's murder, to which she initially entered a not guilty plea. Today's topic was requested by A Solace 7632. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Zoe Davis and Christopher Pickford. On July the 7th of 2018, Zoe Davis took a knife to her abusive boyfriend at his Greater Manchester flat after he told her of an affair he was having. Court records indicated that the 35-year-old woman was consequently arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, resulted in her losing the custody of her 3 children. During the 5 years Davis had been romantically involved with Christopher Pickford leading up to the attack, the couple reportedly had several domestic violence incidents, including one that led to the man spending 2 months behind bars. Although 33-year-old Pickford had been banned from making contact with Davis due to a restraining order, they eventually reconciled their differences and began seeing each other again. In the early hours of July the 7th, the couple's friend, who was staying at the apartment with them, went downstairs to find Davis frantically trying to stymie the profuse bleeding from an apparent knife wound on her boyfriend's chest. Paramedics were called to the scene, where they found the woman repeatedly muttering, "I'm sorry," over the critically injured victim, whose condition was ultimately stabilized at the hospital. Doctors later detailed how Pickford's wound was mere inches away from his heart. During the case's legal proceedings at Minshall Street Crown Court, Davis admitted unlawful wounding and received a suspended 2-year jail sentence as punishment. Number 1. Todd and Amy Mullis. Iowa resident and mother of 3, Amy Mullis was found in critical condition at her family's farm near Earlville on November 10th of 2018. Her husband, Todd, to whom she'd been married for nearly 15 years, told the police that she'd had a freak accident in which she'd fallen on a rake and been impaled. The 42-year-old man claimed to have found her unresponsive in the shed, at which point their son rushed her to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Amy's husband was quick to attribute her death to recurring dizzy spells she'd been having, which had supposedly caused her to lose her balance and fall on the sharp-edged tool. However, an autopsy subsequently revealed the presence of 6 puncture wounds on the woman's body, and her death was officially classified as a homicide. During the ensuing police investigation, it emerged that the Mullises had been experiencing marital problems leading up to Amy's death and had even stopped sharing a bed after she'd been caught having an affair. Todd's discovery of Amy's extramarital relationship had caused her to fear for her life, and she'd expressed concerns to her friends that he might try to kill her. Investigators uncovered that the man had searched killing unfaithful women online and had even researched what happened to cheating Aztec wives while allegedly plotting his wife's murder. Todd was ultimately arrested on murder charges and in September of 2019 was convicted of the crime, for which he received a life sentence with no chance of parole. Thanks for watching. Would you rather find out that your unfaithful significant other is plotting to kill you, or have your fingerprints planted at a murder scene? Let us know in the comments section below.